Welcome back. I thought I was recording and oh my goodness, I said so much. But let's start. What is my topic today is weight loss. Weight loss is so much more than what we are focused on. And that's just in general, in life in general, we focus on the wrong things, right? We're focusing on the physical when everything happens internally. When everything is a representation, is a mirror of what's happening internally. So when we're dealing with weight loss, we're like, oh, okay, I have to eat better. I have to exercise more. It's the calories in, calories out. It's the protein, it's the non-protein. We have been taught this for years and years, how to lose weight, right? How to lose weight. As a matter of fact, we know so much about how to lose weight that we can teach somebody else, despite us not losing weight, huh? Uh, we've, I personally, for decades, have been working on losing this weight that I put on, right? And I did the whole diets. I did the exercise and continually do. I'm very consistent with that. And still, the weight did not come off. Why? Why is that? Why is that? We can teach it. Everybody knows. Everyone knows how to lose weight, but we just don't. Why is that? So the topic today is weight loss is not about weight. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Weight loss is not about weight. Okay? We are been taught to focus so much on the physical when we've lacked on the internal. The word itself tells us what the reflection is. Remember, what we are dealing with in our body is a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. Can I say this again to the people in the back? What we're dealing with in our body is a reflection of what we feel and think about ourselves. Hello? Amen. Okay, so I'm taking on my preacher sound anyway, but that is the truth. Everything that is in the physical is a mirror to what is eternal. So we already know how to lose weight. You know how to lose weight. You know how to eat right. You know how to eat healthy. You know how to eat proteins. You know how to eat vegetables. You know how to eat fruits. You know how to stay away from the stuff. You know how to exercise. You know everything about that. That is not the problem. That is not the problem. The problem that needs to be dealt with, again, that is the effect. The problem is the internal meaning, perspective, emotion, thought that you have about yourself regarding the weight. Not even regarding the weight. Again, that is an effect. For example, I think back to when I actually, because I wasn't always thick. I'm not necessarily fat, but I am very thick. I'm much bigger than when I was younger. When I was younger in my teens, early 20s, I was very skinny. I was skinny, very slim. Um, it was I was a very confident young lady. It it worked for me. That's just who I was until, and then I had to assess when did I put on the weight, right? And when I look back, I said that the weight came on after a rejection from in a relationship. Got into a relationship and was rejected. In other words, it just didn't work out. But the perception and the belief that I perceived about the relationship was that I was rejected. Those feelings, those undealt feelings are are always there. They just show up differently, right? So I perceived myself as rejected. I perceived myself, oh, I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't good enough. Wasn't worthy enough. Um, I wasn't. I was too gullible. I was too this. I was too that. And all of those emotions, all of those thoughts, were accumulated in my psyche, in my physical body, in my nervous system. And then what happened, of course, what happened, it reflected on my body, right? It showed up on my body it is a message, right? Message, weight loss, weight problem is a message. You're holding on to feelings and thoughts that compromise you. Message, okay? This is the real issue for weight. You don't, all of that other stuff, you'll naturally lose it because you have come back to yourself, right? Right now, we're not in our proper state of mind. We're not in alignment with who we are. Hello? Okay? So the thoughts that we have taken on has taken on us in our body, right? The feelings of anger and resentment, trauma. Trauma is in the body. Trauma is stuck in the nervous system, right? So we're the anger, resentment, maybe there was an abuse, okay? And that abuse is in the body, is in the nervous system, right? There's a lot of anger that has been stored up and has nowhere to go, thus expanding our girth, okay? Is showing up on our body. Huh? Weight loss is not about weight loss. Can I say that again? Weight loss is not about weight loss. Weight loss is about the feeling and the thoughts that you have about yourself and the trauma that is undealt with. That is the problem with weight loss. That's what's preventing us from weight loss. Do you know another thing that's preventing us from weight loss? Sometimes it's about our location. Look, yeah. What do you mean by location? I'm talking about where you actually live, your address. But then it also comes right back down to you, right? Your address is a representation, is also a mirror of how you feel. So not only did you carry this in your body and it comes to a pass that you're not worthy, you're not enough, you're not beautiful, you're not this, you're not that, it shows up in your body, but it also is represented in your area of your place of living, your address. It is represented in your address. I can tell you, let me tell you something. It is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. Let me repeat that again. It is not a coincidence that people who are, and I'm going to just straight up say fat, have weight problems, are in poverty. Think about that for a minute. It is not a coincidence that people who have weight problems are in poverty. They live in lack. They live in poverty. They live in not enough. Huh? Huh? They eat unhealthy foods, cheap foods, right? They eat cheap foods. Why? Because that is a representation, that is a mirror, a reflection of what is happening in the psyche. What we have come to believe about ourselves, what we feel personally about ourselves. We have not yet turned the mirror to say, hey, look in the mirror. Oh, the Michael Jackson song, The Mirror. That was very prevalent. That was right on. The man in the mirror. We have not looked in the mirror to deal with our insecurities, with our anger, with our depression. We have not stopped to really analyze these thoughts and see it for what it is and put them aside, because that is not who we are. So weight loss is not about weight loss. We're focusing on the wrong things. Weight loss is about the perception, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings that we have about who we are, of what we imagine ourselves or think we are. Okay? So if we want to lose weight, surely, yes, we can start with eating better, doing exercise, but whilst we are doing that, we need to do the inner work. We need to do the inner thought process of, when did this happen? When did I put on the weight? Was I always fat? And if I was always fat from the go, what trauma did I take on from my mother's placenta, or a state of being from my parents? And how does it make me feel? Okay? We can heal we can heal the generations. We can heal our parents through healing ourselves. So even if you were fat all your life, how did it make you feel? How was it in your life that you maintain this fat on you, the fat, the weight. So any of these adjectives that we identify with is not necessarily the adjective towards the physical, but actually the adjectives that we have taken on, i.e., weight loss, okay, lack, and so on, poverty. Those are how we feel and think about ourselves. So if we want weight loss, I admonish you not to just do the physical, i.e., the exercise, the eating better. Of course, that is definitely an outcome, but that will only be consistent and bring about the effect that we want if we deal with the inner world, the inner thought processes. So what we do is we look at it, we contemplate it, we analyze it, we say, is this true? Because that's the perception and the meaning we gave to the situation at the time. At the time, we looked at the separation, we looked at the relationship not working out, and we blamed ourselves. But let's really look at that relationship. Let's go back and look at that relationship. Am I to blame for the relationship? Even if I were to blame for the relationship, I can see, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is what I need to change. This is what I didn't like. This is what I need to. This is what I did like about myself, and this is what I need to do differently. Huh? And then we have to breathe it out and let it go throughout our nervous system. We then have to practice the deepness, the spiritual breath work to cleanse it out of our nervous system. Okay? So I'm telling you, I'm giving you the procedures. I'm giving you the know-how as to how to bring about change in our lives. And once we do that, we don't wallow in it. We change our thought process, right? We change the message that we're saying about ourselves. Instead of saying I'm depleted, I'm empty, I'm this. No, I am full. I am worthy. I am beautiful. Yes, that's when affirmations come into play. But you first have to look at what you're not, what the mirror, to give you the proper affirmations to speak to yourself, because it has to be personal. It has to be direct. It has to be exclusive to the situation, not just take affirmations from anywhere and say it. No, it has to be what you're dealing with so that you can heal. Yeah? So, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I hope that it was enlightening. And if it was, please comment, please like, please subscribe for more. Because, this is my verbal diary that I am sharing and hoping that others are blessed by it. So if you are, please comment. Let's have a community where we talk and discuss things. And I will post as often as I think as I stop to post on my diary. So again, let's be still and know.